Think about this. What if your conceptions about intelligence were all wrong? Its value and beauty, its guarantee of a better life, was reversed. Might it be intelligent? Or even striving for excellence? Wasn't what we were made to believe it was, but a load and a curse. Even a significant cause of unhappiness. Continue watching, because when this video concludes, you might never want to be intelligent again. Arthur Schopenhauer's writings are among his most contentious and history's most misunderstood. Intellectuals had such a daring viewpoint. Intellectuals are still amazed by it. He believed that intelligence, not helpful at all, includes hidden dangers that few people are aware of. According to Schopenhauer, these dangers could rob us of our peace, satisfaction, and even the ability to truly enjoy life. Today, we'll look at his intelligence-related secret, why what he witnessed is important, and how it could change your viewpoint forever. The surroundings and your own ideas. Schopenhauer was a man who understood the difficulties of life. In 1788, his philosophy was born. Was profoundly impacted by an agonizing world, disappointment and uncertainty. While his contemporaries were busy with ambitious plans of progress and reason, Schopenhauer resolved to investigate the shadows of the human predicament. He wasn't interested in flattering us with comforting lies about the potential of people. Instead, he exposed disturbing truths. And one of his most shocking findings was about intelligence's cost. Schopenhauer's genius was not limited to the ability to solve problems or pick up new skills. It was a two-sided thing. A tool that can help us reach new heights, can sometimes push us over the edge of despair. According to him, a person's IQ rose with the more they endured hardships throughout their lives. Think about it, have you ever gone through that? The more your understanding of the world, the more alienated or disillusioned you. That's exactly what Schopenhauer had in mind. This is the conundrum he revealed. Intelligence increases our consciousness, but it also increases our pain sensitivity and imperfections. The brighter our understanding, the more shadows it creates. According to Schopenhauer, an educated intellect, capable of seeing past illusions, comforting lies we tell ourselves, to improve the quality of life. It acknowledges the futility of striving for unbounded goals, the transient nature of success, and the reality that loss cannot be avoided. Even if this knowledge can lead to important discoveries, it can also make us feel isolated, overworked and uninterested. Schopenhauer's views are profoundly moving, making use of the concept of existential dread, a term that intellectuals later popularized, like Søren Kierkegaard and Jean-Paul Sartre. The greater our understanding of the universe, and our part in it, the more its indifference challenges us. This responsibility falls on the really intelligent, stronger than others. Schopenhauer claimed that this raised awareness may even undercut our ability to appreciate life's little pleasures. A less intelligent person may find fulfillment in routine duties or pointless activities, but an intelligent, these diversions are often seen through by others, making them hollow and unsatisfying. Does this mean that intelligence is inherently defective? Its value was not entirely recognized by Schopenhauer, but urged us to see it for what it is, a tool instead of a solution. He believed that many intelligent people make the error of overly, based on their level of intelligence, to live their lives with the expectation that they will be happy. But, he thought, contentment is not the outcome of knowledge or thought. Its origins are much more fundamental and, paradoxically, less smart. For peace of mind, consider this. How many times have you let your overthinking get the better of you? How many times have you had trouble falling asleep? Reliving and assessing events in the mind. Rethinking. Looking for solutions to questions that have no answers. In Schopenhauer's words, this is the curse of intelligence. A restless mind that's always searching, even when there is nothing to find. By now, you might be wondering, if intelligence has two sides, then I treasure you. Give up trying to learn things, or attempt to become less aware of. Schopenhauer's answer was quite helpful. He did not, however, support the surrender of intelligence. He emphasized how important it is to manage its effects. He believed that cultivating serenity, a calm and detached mental state, was the solution to the disturbance caused by an overactive mind. Tranquility, according to Schopenhauer, requires us to accept certain aspects of life. First, we must acknowledge that suffering is inevitable, a facet of the human experience. Instead of fighting it or trying to outsmart it, we should learn to accept it. Second, the limits of our knowledge must be recognized. No matter how intelligent we are, we will never be able to solve all of the puzzles. Any questions that we are unable to answer. Accepting this can free us from the exhausting pursuit of understanding. Finally, Schopenhauer urged us to seek meaning in our lives, not in noteworthy achievements or intellectual triumphs, but in the simple, fleeting moments of beauty and connection. That life does have a sunset, a melody, or a quiet conversation with a special someone. These are the treasures that even the most brilliant minds can discover. Cannot be enhanced, however, the twist is. Furthermore, Schopenhauer believed, is the optimal condition for peace lies in letting go of oneself, the very thing that longs for understanding and power. This radical idea comes from Eastern traditions, particularly Buddhism, which influenced his thought process. According to Schopenhauer, by conquering the ego, we could free, breaking out from the endless cycle of desire and the suffering that intellect so often overstates. So, what does this mean to you? How is Schopenhauer's theory of intelligence applicable? Let's pause to consider whether it applies to your life. Have you ever believed you were smarter than others? Or your steadfast determination to understand and assess has made you more unhappy than satisfied? When you were pondering, did you ever wish you could stop? Find contentment in simply existing, even for a brief moment. Share your thoughts in the space provided for comments below, since it is valuable to have this conversation. Additionally, remember that we're only beginning to learn what Schopenhauer concealed with relation to intelligence. What he revealed next may change your mind. Not just your ideas, but your entire self. Now let's take a closer look at Schopenhauer's perspective and learn the causes behind his convictions. Intelligence often leads to a profound sense of isolation. To understand this, let's examine one of his guiding principles, the will to live that Schopenhauer had. The will to live is the fundamental force behind everything. It's an uncontrollable blind impulse that all living creatures must undergo. Try and procreate, even in situations where suffering is inevitable. This will is relentless and nonsensical, and, most importantly, indifferent to the individual's happiness or general well-being. Schopenhauer asserts that we are all slaves to the will, caught in a never-ending cycle of desire and dissatisfaction. Here's where intellect comes in handy. A less intelligent person may live in harmony with the will, following desires, without taking into account their underlying meaning or purpose. But for the very intelligent, the story is very different. Their heightened awareness allows individuals to see through the illusions of the will, To recognize the futility of chasing numerous desires, simply to stay unfulfilled. However, this clarity has a cost, since it creates a divide between the intelligent individual and, eventually, everyone else. What do you think of those? People take pleasure in trifling pursuits. When you catch a glimpse of life's more profound aspects, harsher facts about this disparity can make the intelligent person feel excluded, an onlooker, rather than participating in the human experience. They are burdened with disclosures that most people never face, insights that bring to light the absurdity, taking into account how short life is. This is Chopin's contradiction, though. In my view, how the same intelligence, whatever separates and weighs us, has the key to conquering the will as well. How introspection and artistic power. According to Schopenhauer, art offers a unique way to avoid the suffering of the will. When we engage with creative forms of expression like music, literature, or visual appeal, we arrive to a state of pure perception. In these moments, our desires no longer motivate us, or the incessant demands of the will. Instead, we come across a certain kind of freedom, where we can simply gaze and take pleasure in life, without the strain of work. Take music, for instance, which Schopenhauer believed to be the height of creative expression. It was an obvious expression of the will, he explained, capable of surpassing language and intelligence, as opposed to other forms of art that represent a variety of aspects of the globe. There is more to music. It appeals to our innermost feelings, offering a momentary reprieve in an otherwise tumultuous existence. This idea might resonate with you. Think for a minute. When you were moved by a piece of music, a artwork, or a gripping story, for those brief moments, the chaos of life seemed to ease, and you felt like you were a part of something greater, something timeless. Schopenhauer asserts that these examples are not just fleeting pleasures, nevertheless substantial opportunities to escape the vicious cycle of suffering. I see a hint of something bigger. But Schopenhauer also argued that intellect could also be used to cultivate a detached perspective. He demanded that the will be subdued. This means stepping away from the never-ending chase and the desires that govern our existence, and instead embracing a peaceful and accepting mindset. Calming the will allows us to let escaping the never-ending cycle of desire. It's easier said than done when it comes to dissatisfaction. Of course, in a culture that values ambition, accomplishment, and the steadfast pursuit of goals, the idea of stepping back can sound almost sacrilegious. Schopenhauer's observation, however, is a reminder. Ultimate fulfillment does not come from achieving more, or understanding that knowledge comes from letting up of desires, of expectations, as well as the need to always make sense of everything right now. I want to ask you a question. Have you ever felt overburdened by pressure? Should do in order to keep moving up the ladder, to continuously get better? What if the solution isn't to do more? But what if doing less is the key to happiness? Not to improve your life, but to make things simpler. Think about it for a moment. And don't hesitate to leave a comment below. As we move forward, we'll look into the connection between Schopenhauer and other significant intellectuals, and how his ideas about intelligence have affected modern psychology. In addition to philosophy, there is a reason his work has endured for millennia. It talks about the universal, the issues facing the human situation, and offers a means of bringing about peace. That statement is still valid now, just as it was during his lifetime. Then comes the most interesting part. Despite the apparent weight of Schopenhauer's theories, even depressing, They ultimately point to a profound sense of freedom. By realizing the hidden costs of intelligence and becoming proficient at calming the will, we are able to achieve a state of clarity and peace that few people ever experience. However, how can we apply these lessons to our daily lives? What practical steps can we take to acknowledge Schopenhauer's wisdom? Can alter our perception of intellect. Because of what's about to happen, stay with me. Might be the most important finding of all. Let us now begin with the practical applications of Schopenhauer's ideas, and how his ideas about intelligence and willpower has the power to alter your life. If you've ever felt like your thoughts are a prison, or overwhelmed by your own psychological load, this is where one can draw guidance from his teachings and empowerment. In Schopenhauer's view, that the first stage of freedom is awareness that identifies the patterns of the will, and it's crucial to take into account how they manifest in our lives. The majority of people spend their days chasing their goals, wealth, status, recognition, believing that long-term enjoyment will come from achieving these goals. But our Chopin might was evident. Even after achieving our goals, the happiness is fleeting. The intellect quickly considers the following desire, preventing us from breaking free from an endless circle. Schopenhauer suggested a radical shift in perspective. Instead than pursuing external goals, turn inward. Take an objective look at your desires. You ask, why do I desire this? What am I hoping to get out of it? Often, you'll find that the things you seek originate from societal conventions or impetuous actions instead of actual needs. This simple act of introspection can help you escape the continual pull of the will. But awareness by itself is not enough. Furthermore, Schopenhauer emphasized the significance of cultivating conscious detachment. This does not mean that you don't care about life. Rather than learning how to communicate with others without succumbing to it. One way to do this is through meditation or quiet reflection. By listening to your thoughts while sitting quietly, you may create a sense of distance between you and the constant noise in your thoughts. Over time, this practice might help you develop a calm, concentrated perspective despite life's challenges. Another helpful resource that Schopenhauer suggested is the pursuit of understanding and imaginative assistance. Bear in mind, he pondered, that we can be elevated by philosophy and the arts beyond the pain of the will. Engaging with exceptional literary works, music and philosophy are not merely means of escape. It makes a closer bond possible. Life's facts. While listening to an enthralling symphony, or lose yourself in a thought-provoking book, you are experiencing a singular transcendental encounter. A chance to get away from the hustle and bustle of daily life and establish a connection with something timeless. Schopenhauer's observations also have important implications for our social connections. One of the hidden costs of intelligence. We have already discussed loneliness. Exceptionally intelligent individuals often struggle to connect with those around them, feeling misunderstood or alienated. Schopenhauer found a simple answer to this dilemma, yet profoundly cultivate empathy. He argued, because recognizing the suffering that all living creatures go through is necessary for a genuine relationship. When we don't see others as competitors or obstacles, but as fellow tourists on the same difficult journey, our perspective shifts. This is not the same as intellectual stifling or lowering your standards, but rather using your knowledge to fill in the gaps. Develop empathy and form meaningful relationships. Now let's talk about one of the most controversial theories of Schopenhauer. Renunciation. He believed The most effective path to liberty can be discovered in giving up more than simply wants, but of the ego itself. This concept is heavily influenced by Buddhism, philosophy that Schopenhauer found admirable. The constant craving for acceptance from the ego, achievement and authority, is the primary source of our suffering. By letting go of its grip, it is possible to find a deeper calm. Naturally, renunciation does not mean that one should give up on life, or withdrawing from the world entirely. It's about viewing life objectively, and modesty instead of clinging to our wants, or battling our worries. We learn to accept things as they are. Schopenhauer argued that this approval is the secret and the highest form of knowledge. Allow me to pose a question to you that will ultimately result in freedom. How often do you find yourself preoccupied with worries about the future, or regret for what has happened? What is your mental energy level? Is committed to trying to control things that are ultimately outside of your power? Just give it some thought. What would it be like to relinquish that fight? To abandon the fight against life, and simply be yourself? That's the kind of content that Schopenhauer suggests. But this is the most interesting feature. As opposed to Schopenhauer's theory, is usually interpreted negatively. It's actually quite empowering. By embracing and confronting life's harsh facts, we can find a deeper, more authentic kind of happiness. One that is not influenced by external variables or fleeting pleasures. It's a satisfaction founded on understanding, acceptance and the calming of the will. This adventure is coming to an end. Now let's think about the most crucial question. What does it mean to live a life of true intelligence? You might be surprised by Schopenhauer's answer. He believed that true intelligence isn't about solving problems or learning new things. It's related to wisdom. It's about realizing what life is all about, acknowledging its intricacy, and finding peace inside them. Therefore, as we come to a conclusion, this inquiry of Schopenhauer's secret pertaining to intelligence, I want to leave you with this thought. It is true that intelligence is a gift, but it's also a responsibility. How you choose to use it. If short-term goals should be pursued, or to gain long-lasting understanding, will affect the course of your life. If this resonates with you, please take a moment to share your ideas in a comment. What are your thoughts on Schopenhauer's theories? Did you experience the burdens or the benefits of intelligence in your own life? Let's continue this conversation. Because these kinds of questions have come. The capacity to change how we see ourselves and the world, and remember, as Schopenhauer himself taught us, sometimes you can uncover the greatest truths, but in our achievements, but in the lessons we learn to let go of. Together, let's use the knowledge we have gained. Then look into how Schopenhauer's findings can alter our perception of intellect, and ultimately our lives. Schopenhauer's philosophy exhibits a keen, but releasing the truth, the pursuit of knowledge and comprehension. Being virtuous does not ensure happiness, but instead, it opens the starting point for a deeper comprehension of life's inherent difficulties, yet this information ironically is also a gateway to transcendence. To truly embody the values of Schopenhauer, the following rules must be followed. Acknowledgement of life's duality. Schopenhauer believed that life was a balance of light and hide joy and suffering. To live a wise life, we must accept this duality rather than fight it. Every joyful moment could come to an end. Every tragedy has a seed of advancement. By accepting this, we can approach life with equilibrium and equality. This acceptance does not mean that you have to give up, or instead adopting passive. It means making the most of life but without illusions when you stop believing that happiness will always exist in life. You eliminate unnecessary disappointment from your life. You gain an appreciation for the serene and lovely moments, understanding their worth. In particular, because they are temporary. To the method of detachment. The idea of separation is a common theme in Schopenhauer's philosophy. He believed that our grief comes from clinging, keeping the relationships you desire, objectives and even identities. Detachment does not mean abandoning these endeavors, rather than learning how to communicate with them, without letting them determine our identity. Think of it as a butterfly in your hand. Squeezing it too tightly. You can smash it if you hold it lightly. Its beauty can be appreciated without causing harm. This is the main reason for separation. Developing a greater respect for life, without giving in to its slavery. 3. The pursuit of more relevance. Regarding Schopenhauer's artwork, philosophy and introspection were not merely academic pursuits. They were tools that were required for conquering life's challenges. These activities allow us to go outside the relentless demands of the will and connect with something greater than ourselves. When you're participating in a symphonic performance, give yourself over to a great book, or engage in self-reflection. Life cannot be avoided. You're touching the eternal by adding to it, the sublime and the universal. Because in those moments, you surpass the limitations of your own existence. For the most crucial connection is compassion. One of Schopenhauer's most significant discoveries was the strength of compassion. In recognizing the typical difficulties of all living things, we create space for a more intimate connection with the outside world. Being compassionate allows us to see beyond the boundaries of our individual experiences and demonstrate understanding and compassion to others. This benefits more than simply those in our immediate vicinity. Compassionate action transforms us. We break free from the isolation that accompanies intelligence, can sometimes assist us in assimilating into a larger totality, assisting in making the world a little less harsh, a little more sympathetic. 5. Relaxing the mind and will. Schopenhauer's theory's ultimate goal is not to escape life, but to find peace within it. This peace comes from reducing the will's ravenous appetite and cultivating a calm mental state. Methods like mindfulness, meditation or time spent in the outdoors that can help you do this. Imagine yourself relaxing by a serene body of water, seeing how the sky is reflected by the lake. Right then, your mind is at ease. Your heart feels light, and the world feels whole. That type of composition, in Schopenhauer's opinion, was suitable. We can all have this experience if we can learn to mute the will. As our journey draws to a close, accessing the sensitive intelligence that Schopenhauer maintained, let's return to the original question. Is intelligence a blessing or a burden? The answer, as we've seen, we could be separated by both intelligences, burden us and reveal the painful truths of life. However, it can also empower us to liberate ourselves and connect with the profound. Life's magic and beauty. We have a choice. Can make our intelligence a source of suffering. Alternatively, we can use it as a tool for progress, compassion and transcendence. Schopenhauer's teachings serve as a reminder that true wisdom is not to flee from existence, but in fully embracing it in spite of all of its contradictions. Such that as you move forward, take a minute to reflect on what you have learnt. What will you do with your intelligence? Not just to understand the world, but how are you going to subdue the want to alter it, and cultivate a sense of serenity and purpose? And most importantly, how will you communicate with others? Not despite your intelligence. Nevertheless, if these ideas resonate with you. Let's continue the conversation. Share your thoughts and pose questions. And your individual experiences. With discernment and self-discovery. As a group, we can look into the deeper truths that underpin existence. Not only bearable but also important. Remember what Schopenhauer taught us. Acceptance often leads to the best revelations. The inconsistencies in life. There is more to intelligence than just a burden. Additionally, it acts as a lighthouse, shedding light on the way to a deeper, more authentic life. I appreciate you looking.